We'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarini Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So until last session, right? So we saw about Parashuram, Lord Parashuram's incarnation. So this is part of the Dasavatara series as a part of Sadachar classes from ISKCON Mangalore, right? So today we'll look at the incarnation of Rama. Okay. So today's the next 1 hour we'll actually spend on the incarnation of Lord Rama. Okay. So I think this is a known incarnation to everyone, right? So in India, if you ask majority of us, more or less everyone knows about Lord Ram, right? So yeah, and then there are different versions also, and then a few might have read the Valmiki Ramayana and all, right? So, but we may not be able to cover everything, right? So the whole Ramayana in 1 hour is very difficult, but we'll try, and then we'll actually pick the important topics, yeah, in Ramayana, and then we'll see the qualities and all, right? So in that way, we'll try to cover it. Okay. So this, so Rama, right? So Rama's was born in Suryavansh, right? And then, so his father was Dasharatha, right? And he was born to Kaushalya because Dasharatha had 3 queens, right? So out of which Ram was born to Kaushalya, Bharat was born to Kaikai, yeah, and then Sumitra had twins sons, Lakshmana and Shatrughna, right? So, and they were all, say, in their childhood days, right? So they were getting trained, okay? So for various things, right? So it's like any other monarchy family or any other, say, Kshatriya family, right? So they get trained in all archery and say Arthashastra and everything, right? So they were getting into that, and then among them, right? So Ram was very glorious, and then he was very close to his father, very intimate relationship with Dasharatha, right? So among the 4 princes, and in there, right? So we all know the pair, right? The Rama and Lakshman, right? So they both gel very well with each other, right? So for, if you ask for Lakshman, right? So for Lakshman, his god is Ram, right? Similarly, the other two, right? So Bharat and Shatrughna. For Shatrughna, it is Bharat. Yeah. So, so these two pairs, right? And all of them had mutual respect with each other. So that's the beauty of Ramayana, right? So if we talk about relationships or anything, right? So what best we can have other than Ramayana, right? So in Ramayana, we get all these things, right? So this in Treta Yuga. So at that time, things and this Dharma and everything was very good, right? The relationships were very good. And then we can learn so many things from them. We'll see as we cover this chapters, as we go through, we will see the characters of each in the family, right? So, and then we'll talk about Bharat and Sita, Lakshman, Ram, right? Say how each one was having for showing compassionation to the others. Yeah, and so no one had any envy on others. Yeah, so we look into those things. So and all and Vasishtha, so he was their priest. Okay, so like every kingdom, right, or every king has a chief brahmana, right? So who actually advises. So in that case, in this case, it is Vasishtha. Okay, so who was actually the we can say Raja Brahmana, right? So he was the one who has to give instructions to Dasharatha, right? And then we know Dasharatha was also a very glorious king, right? So I think he was there for 60,000 years as a king. Yeah? And so now what happens is as time passed by, right? So I think Ram was around 15 years. Yeah. So when he was growing up at that time, right? It so happened that, as we discussed last time, right? Vishwamitra, right? So he enters into the arena. Okay. So he comes um, to meet Lord Dashratha, and then so he comes into the empire, and then he comes to the palace, and then he says that he wants to meet King Dashratha, and then he says that tell him that the son of Gadi Vishwamitra is at your door. Yeah. So and he says that and so he's been Dashratha welcomes him, and then he does all the formalities of the Vaishnava etiquettes, right? And then he gives his seat. Yeah. So Dashratha offers his seat to Vishwamitra. Yeah. So this used to be the culture in the in those days, right? So like the king used to offer his whole kingdom, right? He used to give his gaddi. So wherever he used to sit, right? So he used to actually offer it to the learned brahmanas, right? So like Vishwamitra and all, right? So they were great sages, right? So and then and in return, right? So they used to actually sit for some time and then give it back. Okay, so it's not like unlike these days, right? So if we give somebody a position, then nobody will return us. It's not in that way, but yeah, out of respect, it was mutually being given. They offer it and then they accept. They give it back. So again, the king accepts it as a Mahaprasad. So this is the way it used to happen. So and then he inquires because as the sage has come, right? He inquires, so is everything going okay? And then does he have anything you want to discuss, or he needs any help from Dashratha Muni and all these things? So Vishwamitra actually says that, yeah, thank you for asking all those things, but so he said that there are few demons, yeah, so who are actually not allowing me to complete my sacrifices. Okay, so these demons, right? So they were actually uh, hampering. So whatsoever yajnas you do, right? So all to the gods and humans, right? These rakshasas were actually not allowing anyone to perform any sacrifices or anything. So whenever any sacrifice was being performed, and say it was at the end, right? So you are about to complete the or close the ceremony, right? And then you're left with some portion of it. By then, right, these rakshasas, so the rakshasas were Marichi and Subhav. Say what they used to do is they used to drop flesh and blood, okay, on that arena, and then so on the sacrifices area. So by which this sacrifices were never being completed. Okay, so So it's not that Vishwamitra can't tackle with them. Yeah? So he's also from Kshatriya background, right? But he knew that the youth Rama, so who is there in Dashrath's palace, right? He is none other than the personality of Godhead, right? So he knew, right? And then he was well aware of the powers and everything, right? So he he's a sage, right? And then he knew that this is nothing but Rama, and then he has incarnated, and then he is here to actually vanquish all the demons, right? So the same. So the Lord descends whenever there is injustice, and then whenever he has to actually ruin the demonic qualities, right? So he knew that, and then he knew that the Lord is has come for a purpose. And then in Bhagavad Gita also we see, right? So Lord Krishna says that to Arjuna he'll have to be an instrument, right? Nimitta matrena, he says. So in the same thing here also, so Vishwamitra is acting as an instrument for the god to actually perform his pastimes. Yeah, and then Dashratha is very reluctant. He feels that he's a young boy, and then he's not well versed with all these archeries. And the other thing is, the Rakshasas were so powerful that they were invisible, right? And then they can take any shape anywhere, and then they were they were very notorious, and then they had all siddhis, yeah. So they are very powerful at that time. So he was reluctant, and then he said that if you want, then I'll be coming, okay, but don't take Ram. So Vishwamitra gets angry. He said that so I had asked for something, and then you're not fulfilling my desire. So he said that okay. So the way I came, I'll go. By the time he was furious, and Vasishtha Muni, right? So he could understand that it's not a good sign. So if we allow Vishwamitra, then he'll curse something, and then which would be much more worse. Okay, and then so again Vishwamitra tells, so Vasishtha Muni instructs Dashrath Muni, Dashrath king, and then he says that so let you allow Ram to go with Vishwamitra, because Vishwamitra also mentioned that he will take care of his sons. So it's only for 10 days. So he should send with me, and then Ram would fight with the demons. And then he said that I'll get back your sons as I've taken. Okay. But the only thing is they'll have to deal with the demons when I'm doing the sacrifice. So then they go actually. So Dashratha, actually, King Dashratha sends with very heavy heart his sons. Yeah? So both Ram and Lakshman accompany Vishwamitra. Yeah. And then say they enter into the forest. Yeah. And so these episodes come in. Yeah. Say Tataka and all these demons, right? So while doing this performance, the sacrifices, right? They come in, and then they actually try to harass. But yes, so first thing what um, Vishwamitra Muni will say is that you'll have to challenge these Rakshasas once entering into the forest. Okay, so to challenge them, Ram actually strung his the bow's thread, right? He just strung it, and then the vibration, right? The vibration itself had caused so much of turbulence that all the animals and birds, they started flying, and then the demons also heard this vibration, and then they came back. They came, and then they actually fought with Ram. Yeah, and then Ram killed them. Yeah, there is The story is, I'm cutting a little bit short because we have other things to cover. Yeah. And then so Vasishtha, so Vishwamitra actually Muni completes the sacrifice. Okay. And then the next thing comes in. Okay. So wherein, so now Vishwamitra actually takes Ram and Lakshman, right, to King's Janaka's kingdom. Yeah. So it is Mithila, right? So he takes to that kingdom, and then where we have the bow, right? The bow of Lord Shiva. So he wanted to, he took Ram to actually to see that bow, okay, and actually to strung it. So then what happens is they enter into the city, right? And then, so this particular bow, right? This is Shiva's bow, Lord Shiva's bow, okay, and then it is very heavy, okay. So it is said that it it needed 300 powerful Kshatriyas, okay, so like with strong, robust builds, right? For them, it to actually carry that bow, right? And then so in that wooden plank or whatever it is, so it needed 300 men's energy, yeah. And then even they couldn't actually take it at one stretch. Even they will also had to take a lot of intervals and then breaks, and then they actually they could place it from one place to the other. So that particular bow was that heavy, okay. And then so now Vishwamitra actually goes, yeah. And then so Janaka was also a very saintly king, right? And then so he actually received this princess and Vishwamitra, and then Vishwamitra actually introduces Ram and Lakshman, yeah. And then so now he actually asks Vishwamitra asks the Lord, she asks Ram to actually string it, the bow, right? So Ram actually goes and then picks up the bow very easily, right? And then he strings the bow, and so by the time he strings it, right, so the bow is broken. Yeah. And then so Dashrath Maharaj is happy. So because prior to that, right, so a lot of kings or kshatriyas came in, and because that was the thing, right? So whosoever would actually string that bow, right, he would marry Sita, right, Mother Sita. So because no one was able to do so, Dashrath Maharaj was very happy, but he was also doubtful because Ram was at an youthful age, right? So and then he didn't think that Ram would be able to do so, but he strings it and then breaks it. So now, so once that is being done, right? So now Ram has to marry Sita. So Sita comes with a garland, okay, and then Ram says, he stops her. He says that this was not agreed. The only thing which my guru said is to actually string this bow. Marriage and all these things were not discussed with me. Okay. And then he says that this is something which my guru and parents have to decide, then only you can put my garland. Yeah. So, so that way, initially he refuses it, and then so Vishwamitra actually convinces him, and then he gets the permission, yeah, from Dashrath Maharaj, and then the marriage. So they agree for it, and then even for putting the garland, right? So Lord Rama, being a Kshatriya, right? So he was not actually bending because at that time, right? I think so. If the ages are roughly right, so I think 12 or 15, somewhere around 12 or 15 was Ram's age, and then Mother Sita's age were around 6 or 7, and then she couldn't garland. So all these things were being observed by Lakshmana, right? And then what Lakshmana does is, so he goes and falls on the feet of Lord Rama. So seeing, so as an etiquette, right? So Ram has to actually bow down and then pick Lakshman. By the time he does it, Mother Sita garlands him. So that after that the marriage happens, and then Lord, Rama comes back to Ayodhya, yeah, and then with and along with them, right? So other brothers also get married, yeah. So Bharat, Lakshman, and Shatrugna also get married. Okay, so all the marriages are being done, and then they come back to their own kingdom, and then they actually stay there for 12 years. Okay, so and then what happens is, now Dashrath Maharaj is getting older, so he feels that the next generation, right, the prince, so they should actually take up the responsibilities, and so he actually discusses with his kings and brahmanas and all other his management team, right? So and they all agree that Ram should be the one who should actually be be sitting on the throne. Okay, so and then on that day, so his minister actually announces that Ram would be the next successor of Lord Dashratha. Yeah. So until this we have covered. So we'll just see the screen. But even in this slide deck, we don't have anything to read today. Okay, so it's all only bullet points. Yeah, and then we'll expand these bullet points. Yeah. So now the scene, right? So we arrived until here. So Lord Dashrath actually announces Ram to be the next king, right? So then what happens is the power of bad association swings. Okay. So everywhere this happens, right? So if someone wants to do a good thing, there will be always people, right? So one may not have the intention, but others actually try to actually spoil him, right? So in here, right, Manthara enters, yeah. And then even so when the name was being announced, right, all the queens were happy, so including Kaikeyi, right? So Kaikeyi, Sumitra, everyone. So everyone was happy, right? All the queens were happy, but we this Manthara, right? So Manthara is the maid of Kaikeyi, right? So even Kaikeyi was actually celebrating. Okay, so of Ram becoming the king. Okay, but this Manthara actually started feeding the poison. Okay, to Kaikeyi, and then she said that. So when she went, and then she asked to Kaikeyi, "Do you know Ram is going to become the king?" And then Kaikeyi was happy that Ram is becoming king, and then she actually gave one necklace to Manthara. Said that she said that it's such a good news, but she was not interested in it. And then she started feeding the poison. Yeah, and then she said that. So he said that. Say you are actually celebrating foolishly. Yeah. So once Kaushalya, say Ram becomes the king, right? So Kaushalya will treat you as a slave, yeah, and both your sons and you will be like a slave, right? And then Dashrath Maharaj will not look at you. Yeah? She actually filled all the negative things and then poison to her. Yeah? And so now Kaikeyi got puzzled. Yeah. And then even Mantra gives the plan also. All right. She feeds the poison and then she gives the plan also. She says that you have a boon from the king. Okay. So once Dashrath Maharaj was actually wounded in a battlefield. Okay. So he was in some fighting with Asuras or some player. So at that time, right? So Kaikeyi actually saved the life of Dashratha by driving the chariot to a safe place. And then at that time, right? So King Dashrath says that you can ask me any two boons. Okay. And then because Dashrath was ruling the kingdom so nicely, and then he was taking care of the family so nicely, right? She never remembered that she needs special boons. Yeah. But this mantra poison remember so makes her remember these boons, and then she says that you should ask these two boons. Okay. So Dashrath Maharaj, because this is day before, right? He was going to all the queen's palaces, and then he was saying that tomorrow is going to be a big day because Ram is going to become the king, right? So when he entered Kaike's palace, right? So the queen was very angry, very upset. So looking at her, he inquired, and then she cried helplessly, and then she said that I have you promised me two boons, and then say you'll have to fulfill those two boons. Yeah. So do you know what are those two boons? Anyone wants to tell? So what were Kaike's two boons which she asked to Lord
She
to
asked
Dash?
that to send Rama for 14 years of exile and to crown her son Bharat on the throne.
Correct, Mataji. So that was the thing, yeah. So that's the ask. So which KK, right, asked, and Dashrath Maharaj actually fainted with this ask, right? So the next day, Rama was supposed to be crowned, and then she is asking Bharat to be crowned, right? And then Bharat is not at that place also at that time. And the other thing is she is asking Rama to actually go to exile for 14 years. So this he couldn't tolerate, and so yeah, the night passed away, right? Because it was something which he had given, right? And then the next day came in, and because this was a boon which he had given, right? He couldn't take it back, so he persuaded, but nothing worked out. So Kaikai was very reluctant. So the next day, so Ram was being called, and then Kaikai informs about these boons. Okay, because Dashrath Maharaj was fully choked, and then he couldn't speak. Yeah? And then say Lord Rama, right? So hearing this thing, right? He didn't get agitated or anything, right? So the instructions which were given day before saying that you'll become the king, right? So in there also he didn't have any reactions, and then he agreed to that. And then in the same way, right, when Kaikai said that this is what you'll have to do, you'll have to go for an exile on the same day, right? So when he had to become the king, so he doesn't say anything, and then he happily accepts it, and then rather he says to Kaikai that so instead of going for those boons and then causing so much pain to father, he said that mother, if you had asked me, right, uh, to go to the forest, then I would have readily accepted. So, and then he lives in. So you see, he's not actually bothered with the position and all those things, right? So Rama's qualities are, what to say. Say I think we can't articulate in our words also, right? So he's such a great personality. So he's called Maryada Purusha, right? So and then say he says that he's ready to move, okay, and so he's he says that he's okay to go, and then he actually initially tells that I'll only go alone, okay. But then what happens is Sita says that she'll have to take me also, okay. So there is a discussion which goes on, so we'll not go in that detail, but yeah. So and then he agrees for Sita, and then Lakshman says that no, say I cannot leave you both. So I'll be coming and then I'll be guarding you. Okay. So, so all throughout your exile, so I'll be guarding you both. So all three actually start towards the forest. Okay. So hearing this, right, the whole praja, right, they'll say they also will say that we'll also go with Lord Rama, right? And then they were not agreeing to leave Ram. Okay, and then they were cursing Kaike, and all these things were happening. And then when Lord was being taken into a chariot and then was supposed to be left at the forest, right? So all the Ayodhya Vasis also accompanied the Lord. So though Lord pleaded that it's not a right thing, and then she'll have to be in the kingdom, right? And then so this punishment is so it's an punishment or it's an exile for me and it's not for you all. So he said, go back, and then no one was listening. So the whole day passed out, and then so even at the night, right, they started accompanying him, and say they all took some rest. Okay, everyone started taking rest in the night. Okay, and then it so happened that when everyone was asleep, right, so now Lakshman was awake, so he was guarding, right? And then Rama actually wakes up Sita and then Lakshman, and he says that let's actually move from here. This is the time when we can escape from here. So they get onto a chariot, and then the chariot is actually moved in such a way that the footprints of the horses and the chariots were in all four directions. So that was the instruction which was being given there, so that in the morning, if so, once the Ayodhya Vasis are awake, right, they cannot find in which direction did actually Ram and Lakshman and Sita went. So and then they were left at the forest, yeah, and then they carry on their exile from there. Yeah. So this is the attachment to service and not to the position, right? So if you look in here, right, so Lakshman, right? So Lakshman is a prince, right? And then if you look at for a Kshatriya, right? Kshatriya always wants to rule, okay? And so at any time, right, they are hankering for power, right? But in this case, right, so you see, he is not looking for any position, yeah. Rather, he is ready to provide service to his brother, right? And even Lord Rama, right? So he could actually, if you look in red, there were so many dynasties in the history, if you see, right? So to hanker for the power, right? They kill their brothers, their father, right? But Lord Rama could have done easily, but he never did that, right? So he was not in that mood, right? Of hankering for power. Yeah. And yeah. And then even if you look at mother Sita also, right? She accompanied, right? If you look at in our day and age, right? So if an husband is convicted, right? So will any of his wives will accompany him? No, they'll say that it is something, the punishment is for you. So you can move on, I'll stay here. Yeah. So that's the difference between that age and this age. Yeah. And then actually the mission, right? So the reason the Lord actually created all these pastimes, and then going to the forest and all these things is because the sages were very disturbed with these demons. Yeah. Because by then Ravana had got all the power, right? And then he was very mischievous, and then his demonic friends and all, right? They were creating havocs, and then even we know, right? Ravana's dream to build a ladder to Sargalok, right? So he had all these things, yeah. So they were very powerful. So Lord had to annihilate all these, right? And then he had to meet all the pious sages, right? So that's the reason, right? And then he went into the into the forest and all, right? And then s- he had killed 14,000 demons, yeah. So that's something, yeah. So this is the time, yeah. So when the Lord actually, when the extreme reversals happen, right? So it has to be taken in the proper consciousness, yeah. So it was taken in the spiritual consciousness, not in the material consciousness, yeah. And then what happens is all this incident happens. This Bharat Maharaj actually. So by then, Dashrath Maharaj actually fell ill, right? When Ram left the palace and all, so he was badly uh, bedridden, and then he left his body. Yeah, and then Bharat enters into the uh, palace, right? He actually sees that Ayodhya is all ruined, right? So there is no life. So it was very disturbing for him to see Ayodhya by the time he left and then by the time he came in, right? So he actually inquires uh, with his mother and others, right? And then he gets to know that Lord Rama has been sent to exile, right? And then he never asked for the throne, and his mother uh, had actually asked this boon, right? And then he was very angry on his mother, saying that how can you do this to Lord Ram? And then he was asking, why did you do this, all those things, and then he learned that his father also left the body, and so hearing all these things, right? So he goes to Mother Kaushalya also. So it's they were all one, right? So he went there, and then so Mother Kaushalya says that so you don't have any threat, son. So you're the king now for the next years, 12 or 14 years when Ram is in exile. So you are the king, and then this kingdom belongs to you, she says. And then Bharat listening that, right? So he gets very anguished, and he says that I'll go and bring back Ram as soon as possible, and then he will only rule this. So Bharat Maharaj actually goes and meets Lord Ram. Okay, and so by then, right? So even Bharat Maharaj also doesn't wear this kingly dress and meet Lord Ram. So he also wears the deer skin, and then he also ties his hair as a matted hair, and then he meets. Yeah. And then what happens is by seeing Ram in that way, right? He, he, actually faints. Okay. So, and then anyone knows why actually Bharat dressed himself similar to Ram? Uh, Anyone knows? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Okay.
Prabhuji, he
Um,
wanted to
so the reason was, the idea of Bharat was that he will stay in the exile, right? So, and then he'll swap the roles, and then he'll send Ram to the kingdom. But Ram doesn't agree, because he has given a word, right? And he says that it's not the right thing for Bharat to do these all things. And then he says that if at all Bharat has any respect towards Ram, right, he should go and take the throne, and then he should actually rule the kingdom until he is back. Okay. So with lot of discussions, right? So Bharat Maharaj finally agrees, but he takes the padukas of Ram. He says that it will be your padukas only will be sitting on the throne, and then the rest of the ruling I'll do it. But on the throne, so it will be your uh, padukas which will be there. And then Lord Ram agreed for it, and Bharat Maharaj took the padukas of Lord Rama, and then he actually installed it on the Raj Gaddi, right? And so he was ruling. Okay. And then Bharat Maharaj, right? He was sleeping on the ground. Okay. So he was also doing the austerities which Ram was doing in the jungle. Yeah. And then, in fact, he was sleeping in the underground. Okay. So on the floor, he was sleeping on the ground, because Ram was sleeping on the floor, right? He was sleeping one level below him. Okay. So he never had any, say, this aristocratic enjoyment and all that. Bharat never enjoyed. Yeah. And on the other hand, right, he actually ruled the kingdom very nicely also, right? But with an and he had so many problems, right? So the everyone was not in favor of him, right? So everyone didn't like Bharat, because he didn't have any role in it, but due to his mother, right? People felt that okay, this was something. This is Bharat's plan, right? So he had to deal with them. Okay. And so in here, right, he's not having his beloved brother, so he's in that pain, right? So if you look at in our current um, lifestyle, right, in this Kali Yuga, right, if there is a parental property, okay, so what happens? So if at all the father earns a lot of money, right, so there is a lot of chaos, right? So when the father wants to write a will, right, and to actually distribute the property is a very big headache for the father, right? No one agrees. So everyone wants one piece, right, and the other piece nobody wants. Yeah, and then those tussles go for a long time. Yeah, but that is our modern day, right? In modern day, say nobody likes what the father gives it. Yeah? So everyone wants the better share, right? Which they feel, okay, at that point in time, right? They feel whichever is a better share, right? So that should come in. So even if they agree today, again tomorrow they'll say that no, before the agreement, this doesn't help. So they'll come up with some clause, okay. But in here, right, if you see in Ramayana, right? So Bharat says that you rule, right? You should be the king, right? Rama says that you should be the king, right? And then Lakshman, he goes away with Ram, right? And then Bharat's and Shatrugna is with Bharat, right? So he is also not hankering for power. You see, so everyone is saying that you can take the throne, you can take the throne, right? So nobody is hankering for power there, right? But if at all, if you look in today's scenario, right? So had it been those four brothers, right, everyone would have said, told that every month each one will rule, right? So or else they might have divided that kingdom and then they would have said that this is yours, east is yours, west is mine, south is yours. Yeah, but that was not the case there. So nobody had any hankering for power or money. So such was the relations which they had in, right? Even you see Mother Sita also, she also left with her husband, right? So that's all the relationship which Ramayana teaches us, right? So that's what Ram Rajya is all about, right? So in Kali Yuga, we'll not find those things. Yeah. So even for a small things, live about those things. I think two brothers or the whole family cannot live in a house, right? So these days, if you look, right, so everyone wants to live independently, right? So we can't actually tolerate um, something from our brothers and sisters, right? So we can't live in a one roof. So that is such pathetic has become Kali Yuga. So the next thing is we'll look in Ram as Ekapati, right? Pativrata, right? So no, it's called Ek Patni Vrata, right? Or Pativrata.
एक पत्नी व्रत, एक पत्नी व्रत.
Ek Patni Vrata, yeah, having only one wife, sorry. So in here, right? So what have so at that time, right? In the royal dynasties, right? The Kshatriyas were allowed to marry multiple wives. Okay, they can have even if you see, right? Lord Rama's father only had three wives, and Rama also had a choice to marry. So at that time, it was allowed. So in that yuga, right? Treta Yuga, the Kshatriyas were allowed to have multiple queens. Yeah. So, but in this age, it's not okay. So that's only for that age. Yeah. But he said that it's only one. Yeah. And then she actually until the end of right. So with the fighting of Ravana, and there are other episodes also, right? He never ever thought of any other queen or woman. Yeah. Because he was, and then Lord's incarnation is very beautiful, right? So Ram's avatar is very beautiful, very handsome, yeah. And then so he's very mesmerizing, enchanting, yeah. So we cannot tell in words, right? So he's Ajana Bahu. So whatever qualities you look in, right? His bodily constructions, his words, everything, right? So he can mesmerize anyone. But he said that she'll have only one wife. Yeah. So that's something which actually meant it, and then she he actually continued it for his whole lifetime. And the other thing is we saw that the padukas, right, which was being kept. So even that is called as the Lord is proprietor, right? So Lord Rama, uh, he is the proprietor, right? So that's the reason it comes as this Bhagavad Gita shloka, right? Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvaloko Maheshwaram, right? Shrudam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatvam Richati. So he is the one, and so Bharat Maharaj did the thing aptly, right? So he gave the precedence to the Lord, right? He said that you are the enjoyer, so you should be sitting on the gaddi, and then post that, say, we are your servants. So even that is being told in Ramayana. Yeah. So, and then uh, the other thing, so we'll slowly go into so alertness in spiritual life, right? So I'm just covering things, yeah. So we are getting closer, so I'll try to cover a little bit fast now, yeah. So this is the same thing, right? Say in bhakti, right? So this is more on bhakti, and then if you see, right, so Lakshmana. So while Ram is resting, right, and he is actually guarding them, right? So all throughout their exile, right? And then Mother Sita is actually doing service, right? So that's something which we can take away from here. Yeah. So this is we saw. So this is nothing but saintly persons might cause pain to others, but not to hurt them. Yeah. So this is with respect to Bharat Maharaj, who actually uh, so he have who had an bad argument with his mother Kaike, right? So that's what. So he's giving pain to her, but to benefit her, right? Similar to Prahlad Maharaj, right? He was advising Hiranyakashipu, right? So he was not doing the right thing. Yeah? And then, yeah, so this is the episode so wherein goal is to please the Lord, right? So post that they enter into this forest, right? And so now what happens is here, Shurpanaka actually sees the beauty of Lord Rama, right? And then she is astonished, and then she wants Rama, okay, to be her husband, right? And then she turns herself into a beautiful celestial lady, and then she comes and talks to Lord Rama and Lakshmana, right? So basically to Lord Rama, asking who are they and all those things, yeah. And then she says that she desires to get married, right, to Lord Rama, and then Lord Rama make jokingly says that I'm already married, and then I cannot, but there is a bachelor there. His name is Lakshmana. You can go and ask him. Okay. And then when she approaches Lakshmana, then Lakshmana says that, say, I'll marry you if you become a slave to Mother Sita. So hearing that, right, Shurpanaka says that if Sita is the blocker for all those things, then she'll kill it. Okay. So, and then she took her ghastly form, right? So Lord Rama instructs Lakshmana that so don't kill her because she being a woman, and then you should not kill her, but teach her a lesson. So Lakshmana cuts her nose, right? So that episode happens, and then she goes to Ravana, his brother, and then she plays a trick, right? And then she, because Ravana is very lusty, so she plays that trick, and then she says that she actually describes about goddess, so Lakshmi or say Mother Sita, right? And then she provokes basically to Ravana. Okay, so now what happens is Ravana actually goes to Maricha, and then he says that say we'll have to kidnap Sita, right? So first time he goes, then Maricha says that don't take all these chances. It's better you rule your kingdom peacefully. Okay, he advises for the first time, and then second time. Okay, when Ravana actually thinks, okay, so this is fine, and then he should go back. He goes back, but Shurpanaka again instigates Ravana. Okay, and she provokes him like anything. And then now Ravana goes angrily to Maricha, and then he says that either you do this act or I'll kill you. Okay, so then Maricha thinks that it is better to get killed in the hands of Rama. rather than Ravana. So then Maricha takes the shape of a Maya, right? So he actually takes the shape of the golden deer, right? And then she goes nearby the hermitage of Lord Ram's hermitage, and then he mesmerizes Mother Sita, and then so Mother Sita actually asks Lord Rama to actually bring that deer, right? And then Lord Rama actually asks Lakshman to take care of Mother Sita, and then he goes into the jungle, right? So after going into a long distance, right? Maricha was actually moving here and there, right? So he was becoming invisible at times, and then Lord Rama understood that this is an demon, right? And he shot an arrow. But after the arrow was shot, right, Maricha actually cried out loudly, calling the name of Rama, right? And so now this thing actually both of them hear. So see, Mother Sita hears, and then she says that Lakshmana should go, and then actually see if Ram is in trouble. So Lakshmana actually draws three lines, and then he says to Mother Sita that you should not cross these three lines, and then he goes in search of Lord Ram. In the meanwhile, Ravana enters into the scene, and he actually disguises himself to be a Brahmana, right? And basically a sage type of attire he takes, and then he asks for Bhiksha. And then Mother Sita comes, and then in this jungle also somebody is coming for a Bhiksha. She becomes very happy, and by the time she comes out, so Ravana is not able to enter because of those three lines, right? So he asks Mother Sita to come out and then give the Bhiksha. By the time he gives, he actually uh, takes away Mother Sita, right? So, and then while taking her, right? So Mother Sita is actually resisting. So this is being heard and then seen, okay, by so so this is actually, yeah. So this is being heard, yeah. So by this bird, right? Yeah. So this, yeah. And so now what happens is, so this bird is nothing but, sorry, Jatayu. And then Jatayu actually gives a fight back to Ravana. He says that you cannot take Sita in that way. And then, so actually, Ravana cuts Jatayu's two wings, and then so first he'll cut one wing, but still Jatayu will protest. So Ravana cuts both the wings, and then so Jatayu falls down, yeah, and then so when Lord Rama and Lakshman both meet, and then they are coming towards this hermitage, right? They saw that Jatayu is wounded, right? So and then they listen all the things from Jatayu, and then they actually do they perform the last rites of Jatayu, and then the Lord actually gives, Lord Rama gives liberation to Jatayu. So this is the goal is to please the Lord, right? So whatever endeavor we can do, right? So we should be doing it. So post this, Lord actually meets Sugriva, right? So and then there we know that episode, right? Sugriva and Bali, right? So they were two brothers. So the Lord actually wanted the Vanar Sena with him, right? So for that, he approaches Sugriva. And then what happens is Sugriva and Bali had a fight. Okay. And then so Bali was very strong. Okay. And then there was a misunderstanding between those two brothers. Yeah. So wherein say, Bali never agreed what Sugriva said. Okay. So he took the throne, and then say he actually throw uh, Sugriva out of the kingdom. Okay. And then Sugriva was actually wandering in the jungle. Okay. So and then he meets with the Lord Rama. Okay. So and even in there, right, Hanuman actually intervenes. So that is a short story also, so which you can read it. And so at that time, right, Sugriva says that I can do if you can kill Bali. Okay. So then Ram says that okay, I'll kill Bali, but you'll have to call him for a fight. So both fight, and then Lord actually kills Bali, and Bali is very powerful. Okay. So it is being said that she is so powerful. So he used to do all these rituals also. Okay. And there was an episode so wherein so he actually strung Ravana on his tail. Okay. And so that was the power of Bali. So he tied Ravana to the tail. Okay. So he killed him, and so next, right? So they go to the ocean, right? And then Hanuman is being sent to identify Sita. So where Sita is there, right? So even Hanuman has a lot of obstacles, right? So while searching Mother Sita, right, he has to on the way, right? He has to deal with different demons, yeah. Say like Surasa, right? So and Shimika. So so he had to escape from them, right? So he goes, he finds Mother Sita, and then right, he identifies the location, and then we know that he actually puts fire on Lanka and comes back, right? So then the whereabouts of Sita are known to Rama, and then Rama is happy, right? So about all these details, and then now Rama. So this is in Sri Lanka, right? So basically, so that bridge has to be built on the sea. So Rama actually requests the ocean, and then the ocean doesn't give him the way. So he tries peacefully for 2 days, meditating, but he actually the ocean doesn't give a way. Then Lord Rama becomes angry, right? And then he looks at with his red hot eyes, and the ocean becomes hot, and the aquatics living in the ocean, right? So they couldn't survive. So the ocean god comes in, and then he says that so he couldn't know that Lord Rama has power, and then that he is the supreme personality. So he says that you can build whatever bridge you want. So he apologizes, and then the building the path is constructed. Yeah. So the and then Lord Rama enters, right? So into the kingdom of Ravana, right? And then in between, there is an episode where Vibhishana actually instructs Ravana not to fight, and then he is being kicked out of the um, kingdom, and then he comes and meets Lord Rama, right? And even Lakshmana. kills, Vibhishana will tell that Indrajit is performing some sacrifices, right? And then to become more powerful. And then so he says that first thing is she'll have to kill him, and then Lakshman goes and kill him, and then Ravana gets the trigger, and then he comes for a fight with Rama, right? And then so the war goes very ghastly, yeah. And then whatsoever arrows are being put on Ravana, right? So those heads would disappear, and then they again would come back. So and then Vibhishana told Ram that so Ravana has to be killed. So the arrows should be shot to the heart of Ravana. So then only he'll die, else he will not. So then Rama does that. So he kills uh, Ravana, right? So Ravana falls down, and then his wives, his queens, and all come, and Mandodari is his queen, right? And then she says that this is something which was destined for you, right? So you should not have captivated Mother Sita, right? So due to your lusty desires, so these things was meant for you. Okay. She was so learned, yeah. And then she said that you have unnecessarily taken, you have waged a war with Lord Rama. So it happens, and then Lord Rama actually thrones Vibhushana to rule that a particular piece of kingdom. So it is not that as he has conquered, so he'll rule it. No, he has given in the right hands, and then he starts moving. And then Mother Sita comes in, yeah. So now Lord Rama, so Hanuman goes and informs Sita that so everything is done, and then she now will take back you to Rama. So when she is being brought in palanquin towards Rama, so Rama is actually uh, not showing any expression. Yeah. So on the other hand, Mother Sita is so happy that she is going to meet Ram. Okay. And then, so the reason is, Sri Lord Ram, right, says that she was in his enemies or so in the demon's palace for 1 year, right? So, so he remained calm. Okay. So he said, so he was actually for that ordeal, right? So he was actually saying that, how can I take you back? Because so you were with the Ravana for 1 year in his palace. So then, looking at this, right? So what Mother Sita will do is she'll ask Lakshmana to actually to create an burning fire, right? So to set fire, okay, and then because the chastity is being raised, right? She says that so I will actually jump into this fire, and then if at all I had any ill effects or say if any adultery or anything, right? If there is any impure things in my thoughts or anything, right? So I'll be destroyed. I'll be burned in that fire. So if I'm pure, then nothing will happen to me, and then so I'll come out safely. And then she proves that. Okay. And then say when she actually utters these things and then goes into the flames, right? So Lord Rama actually get tears. Okay. And then he goes into very much grief. Yeah. But after that, Sita emerges out of the fire, right? So and then seeing that, Ram becomes very happy. So the reason Ram did this thing is for others, right? So others to know the chastity of Lord of Mother Sita. See, he knew that. So he knew the purity of Sita, but for others, right? So others should not pinpoint him, right? So that's the reason he did this. Yeah. And then they move towards Ayodhya, and then when they enter into Ayodhya, so that's the Diwali, right? So killing of Ravana is on Dashara, and then they enter into Ayodhya in Diwali, right? And then the Lord is Lord Rama is becomes again the king, and then rules the kingdom for years. Yeah. So with that, we'll cut short. I know that I had to cut in many places, but no choice. So thank you for being with me. So Prabhujis and Matajis, I know that I had to overrun, but even I had cut so many things, yeah. Because 1 hour Ramayana is very difficult, Prabhujis and Matajis, yeah. So I could cover as much as I could, yeah. Yeah. So anytime if you have any other day wherein we are cut shorting, right? So maybe we can discuss about Hanuman, yeah. So because today I couldn't discuss much about Hanuman, so how he actually had to escape, he had to deal with the demons and all. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hope you all heard me, and then so if there are any mistakes, pardon me, yeah, because this was at a length, right? And then I was speaking all throughout the class. So yeah, if I have gone somewhere wrong, then pardon me. Anything anyone wants to add? Prabhujis and Matajis? No? Okay. We'll wind up for the class. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namo. Hare Krishna. Uh,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you for your
Hare
association.
Krishna.
Yeah, thank you.